It's, depending on where they have it.
Wake me up.
There's a curve.
Your glasses just did.
You can hold it, and most of the time, it's like you can transfer it yourself, because the nerve does have a certain amount of release. What happens is you keep the arm nice and straight, you hold it, you get a good pulse, let it go, make a move for the headache, they can't probably just stop worrying.
You know, a little bit like, I was working at, I was in the bed.
It's really quite effective.
No, I believe you. Believe in all that stuff. If for no other reason than if I think it works, it's
Is Caroline going to report on recreation? Do we have her for something?
She's here specifically for the presentation of the
She's there if we want to talk about what did you want.
also she's available for that, so she can give us a whole rundown. Actually, what staff, if member staff are here, they're available to answer the
But I just think on that.
that thing, I should have seen that.
And every year,
I'm incognito, you don't recognize.
I say hi to everybody. I'm glad you're home. Did you sign the thing that year? Oh, okay, good.
On Sandy, do you know what they call them? So, the bars he goes, she goes, oh no, because I say, I say, you don't have any children, so I gave her that. That's hilarious. I took the kids to school that. He was 65. Doctor said he was
$50 charge. Lemon charge.
Oh, next meeting.
Yeah, all right.
Good morning, good morning. Says it here. We want to stay. Sorry
I probably was.
We asked them if they wanted to come back and forth.
Don't poke.
Did y'all get the financial report they just put out?
No, ma'am.
It's 9 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Thank you for coming. There aren't very many of you, but we'll enjoy the meeting better that way, right? Monique, do we have a quorum?
Yes, ma'am, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's stand, and today we're going to do the moment of silence.
I pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Go ahead with
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of our last regular board meeting from May 20th, 2017, as presented to us.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor? Dan, do you have,
Under Secretary's report, we have a letter from a Mr. Joel Taylor of Crystal City, Texas, who owns property on the fort and is a member here. He wrote us a letter dated June 12th. It's, well, I'll just read it. It's attention to the Board of Directors. I am writing to address several issues pertaining to the swimming pool. First is the issue of piped-in music. For the last 2 weekends, there has been blaring music played at the lifeguard station. I do not understand why there has to be music played at all, much less that loud. When I asked them to turn down the volume, the response was, quote, "If I do that, the people on the other side of the pool can't hear it," unquote. The problem with the answer is obvious. If the people on the other side can hear the music, then it is too loud for the people on the west side of the pool. When my wife insisted again that it be turned down, it was turned down and then turned back up within 15 to 20 minutes. The lifeguard went further by saying the purpose of the blared music was to discourage individual boom boxes. This does not make sense because one of the printed rules states, quote, "no loud music." Why not just enforce that rule? Another issue with the music is who gets to choose the music. If my guests and I have to endure the music for some reason, then I should have input in what kind of music will be blared. A second issue is the enforcement of the rules. We were present at the pool for Memorial Weekend and the pool was very, very crowded. The crowds were not the source of my concern. It is the lack of enforcing the rules. There were dogs in the pool area. There were people swimming with beverages in the pool. There were no lifeguards. People were parking in places that were not parking spaces, and no one was wearing armbands. I don't know what that's about. If all the rules in place are not going to be enforced, then eliminate them and allow the swimming pool to become a second-rate recreational site. If the quality of the pool is to be maintained, get rid of the music and enforce the rules. I strongly urge the latter and not the former. The Fort Clark Pool is a treasure of Texas, and if the association does not protect the integrity of the pool, we are not being good stewards. Please allow me the courtesy of a response to my issues. Joel W. Taylor, who's also an attorney, by the way. Have we responded to him?
No, we just received the letter and it come before the board. I'm happy to give them a response. There's an explanation for everything.
That would be wonderful, and if you do, Richard, could I get a copy for my
Certainly, I'll
record?
present it to the board as well.
Can we discuss this during, a little bit more during your report?
Certainly.
That way we can move along.
Thank you, Rick.
There is some, because I did ask for a response, and there is some reason for some of that, and maybe some reasons we'll get some more of it, so let's do that.
Sure, I should mention the letter was dated June 12th, I believe, so we did just receive it. That concludes my report as secretary. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Do we have a treasurer's report?
Okay. First of all, bank balances as of Wednesday, June 14th, 2017. Del Rio Bank's Texas Community Credit Card, $7,883.21. Texas Community Checking, $36,536.47. Texas Community Money Market, $2,563.78. Bracketville Bank and Trust, General Fund, $86,275.90. Payroll, $13,694.06. Restricted Fund, $417,718.31. Las Morris, $30,323.73. Subtotal, $595,995.46. Fort Clark Historical Building Preservation Fund, $18,645.53. Fort Clark Hail Damage Repair Fund, $72,734.71, for a grand total of $687,375.70. Okay, bank transfers. May 2017 estimated to Bank and Trust Las Morris, 0 for operating expense. Texas Community Checking, $85,000 for operating expense. Bank and Trust Payroll, $68,000. Bank and Trust Restricted, 0 operating expense, for a total of $153,000. May 2017 actual to Bank and Trust Las Morris, 0 operating expense. Texas Community Checking, $28,154.63 for operating expense. Bank and Trust Payroll, $62,400. Bank and Trust Restricted, 0 for operating expense, for an actual transfer of $90,554.63. June 2016 actual to Bank and Trust Las Morris, 0 for operating expense. To Texas Community Checking, $70,985.11 operating expense. To Bank and Trust Payroll, $68,000. To Bank and Trust Restricted, 0 operating expense, for a total of $138,985.11. June 2017 estimated, Bank and Trust Las Morris, 0 for operating expense. To Texas Community Checking, $80,000 for operating expense. Bank and Trust Payroll, $68,000. To Bank and Trust Restricted, 0 for operating expense, for June 2017 estimated of $148,000. Okay, I move that the bank transfers in the treasurer's report, or the bank transfers in the treasurer's report, be approved.
Second.
Could I, at this time, just bring up a couple of things because they're related to our finances? There are no questions. But last month, we suggested, there was a suggestion that we have a workshop with Randy, and I'd like to see that we might follow up on it. I think that could be very useful to us. A lot of questions that some I have simply I don't understand. It's a very complicated financial system there. And secondly, going along with it, just a question. How close is Randy coming to the estimates of the amount of time he would have to put into this? I realize in the beginning there was a lot of extra to straighten out a lot of things, but now that we're almost 6 months into the year, is he coming pretty close to those hours?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Has
Is
he
he-
exceeded?
He had given us an amount he thought it would be. The question I think you're asking, and I have too, is are we getting close to knowing what that's going to be going forward? And that-
Yeah, he had
Oh,
asked.
I think I understand what you're saying to me, and I would say yes. He had to invest a great deal of time in the beginning, and he still is investing a great deal of time. But I do believe he's not going to exceed the average that he had projected by year's end. Once he gets through with May, as he's explaining to me, then we'll be able to very rapidly
Click,
get,
click,
yeah, click right each month. And so we're close to getting May finished.
So he should be hitting now probably for June to be able to complete it within those hours.
Oh, I believe he will.
Yeah, I imagine
We're
he's-
not gonna, I'll make sure we don't exceed those hours.
Great.
Yeah, no,
Appreciate
I
it.
see what you're saying now. Is he gonna exceed the projected number of hours for the year? No, I don't think it's gonna.
I would expect for the year that he would exceed that average because he had so much to straighten
He's gonna
out.
exceed the average in the beginning, yes, but
Yeah.
I think it's gonna trail
But
off.
now we should be on an even keel and he should be able to stay within that monthly.
And with
average,
respect
hopefully.
to the workshop, that was among my comments also. We are planning to do that. We spoke about it Wednesday before he left. Having a board meeting workshop so that he can go through these. What he wants to do is to be able to reduce this voluminous report and give you only what it is that you think you need. And so to do that, he's gonna have to talk to you.
We need input from us too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Dan. Go ahead.
I'm voting. Oh, no.
You had your hand up, what?
Well, I'm voting. Approve the motion to accept the,
I haven't asked for the
I know
vote.
you did, but I,
If you want to call the question, I'd be glad to do that. Okay. The motion is,
To approve the bank transfers and the treasurer's report.
she.
I understand,
motioned
but
and I seconded.
you've already voted on it, right?
I was anticipating.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand.
Need a little levity, it's just.
I didn't realize that Ann wasn't going to be with us today. Do we know? Actually, I guess I did know. I think she left before the workshop on the 12th. I remember now. Sometimes I just go out, you know. Sorry. Could we have the executive officer's report?
Yes, ma'am. You asked me would I address those issues in the letter that was written to us. I can do that very quickly.
Yeah, just.
On the Memorial Day weekend, my guess is he was there and referring to the Saturday of that weekend. That Saturday was graduation weekend. All of our lifeguards were graduating, and many of our attendants also their families, also the staff. We had no staff on the premises at that time. Therefore, you had things happening that probably shouldn't have been happening. Nothing that I can do about that. I couldn't hire new staff to come in on that particular day, and we didn't want to close the pool. It's that simple. As far as the music being piped in, that's something that we've done since the last board meeting report. There is music being played there, and I'm going to be presenting to you a little program, a little idea that I have about that music where we will control volume and control programming, and it will be family-friendly music. I'm not going to turn the music off. The music is an asset. It's very pleasant, and people enjoy it. We'll just try to meet a happy medium so that everybody gets a little taste of their genre, their favorite genre. So that's that. As far as enforcing the rules, we do enforce the rules, and this individual is aware of that. I'll make that point later. For our financials, for the month of April, the revenues fell short by $14,000. However, when we adjust for the depreciation and the bad debt, we actually underspent budget by $17,000 for a net income of $3,000. For the months of October through April, the cumulative effect, the revenue exceeded the budget by $91,000. However,
Excuse me, can you hear him back there?
okay, revenue exceeded the budget by $91,000. However, expenditures exceeded the budget by $108,000 for a net income of a negative 19.5. Now, when we adjust that for bad debt and depreciation, we're actually $162,000 to the good. Keep in mind, though, and this is something that we need to discuss with Randy so that you have a very good understanding. Keep in mind that the tax assessments, the supplementary assessment, the deer harvest income, that's all collected in the very first few months of the year, but it's prorated over the 12-month period of time. So that's going to kind of skew things. In the same way, on the expenditure side of things, large lump sums are paid, such as liability insurance, health insurance. These are paid early in the year, but yet they're prorated over the 12 months. So the budget reflects how much would we typically average spend in a month's time. And so we really need to do a more in-depth analysis for you to even get a picture of how well are we doing. Overall, I think we're doing very well in terms of the budget, especially after having just revised the budget. I think we're pretty well on target. We're rocking along. So yes, let's get with Randy, and let's have a workshop, and let's get a very good understanding of the reports that he's given us. With respect to the RV park, painting continues. I think even as we speak, they are painting. And the tree trimming going on. So things are shaping up out there as well. And we will continue to make what improvements we can as money and manpower allows. Family Fun Days. We've had 2 Family Fun Days so far, and I think another one is planned for the 1st of July. The Family Fun Day is an opportunity for us to begin bringing back those fun things to do. They're simple, they're inexpensive, they're old-timey perhaps, but they're fun. And we're shooting for to give you an example, we've set up a volleyball court, and it's being used, as I understand it, every day by the kids, by the teenagers. So that's a very good thing. There is, we also have a horseshoe, what do you call it, a court or a horseshoe pit that we'll be developing here very shortly. We have a bouncy castle out there that actually generates a little bit of revenue for us. We have plans for sack races and the tortilla tossing contest, the fun things that get people out of the house, the kids off of their machines, and just interacting and having fun. The cornhole game also. So all of these things we're trying to regenerate, and we've been, thanks to Mr. Herman here, who has given us newspapers from of old. We've been going through those newspapers to say, what did they used to do? And now we're trying to do them again. So the Family Fun Day, that's what it's about. It's about having fun and attracting folks here. But we're opening the gates too for folks to come from other areas. We've noticed in social media comments from Uvalde about how wonderful a time that they've had, that type of thing. So the Family Fun Day is cooking. And we have more plans to develop it as we go along. Let me mention the Axis deer harvest.
Can I, before you go on, you do have vendors as well, right?
Yes, we have a hamburger vendor and a funnel cake vendor.
Gotta have
And
those.
you gotta have the fun. Well, this isn't important, but I had my very first funnel cake ever at the last time. And now I know what the rave is about. I also had fried Oreos, and that was marvelous. So, fried Oreos, yes, ma'am.
Fried Twinkies are better.
And there was one craft vendor who set up out there too. If I can go on the Axis deer harvest.
One more thing, I'm sorry. All of this takes place down at the pool right now.
Pool in the park, yes, ma'am. The Axis deer harvest. So far, 5 young bucks and 4 does have been harvested. I think that will substantially increase when the green goes brown. When things begin to dry up, then they begin searching for other food sources, and we'll provide them with a food source, and that will help us to round them up, and ship them out.
And there was a, we make money from that.
Yes, ma'am. We have coming to us for the first 9 deer, we have coming to us $1,815, which is actually more than we would have gotten had they been harvested through a hunt. We had a meeting with the absentee Seminole tribe this week. It was a fun meeting. Those are fun people. Chief Young and his wife and a few others. We are making some big plans for the weekend before the 4th of July. They will be coming here for a conference and for also to, as I understand it, the Run for the Border motorcycle rally also. Then we were also planning for their event in September 15th through the 17th. That's their annual tribal council. So those are some big deals, and we want to roll out the red carpet for them. That's about all I have right now, and I think that Carol Ann is going to be making a report regarding other things, other activities, happenings on the fort. She'll have another presentation for you too. So, there you have it.
I have a few questions,
Yes, sir.
as usual. What, seeing the board wasn't involved with the Fun Days event, first of all, is this going to be a regular event? Sounds like people are having a great time.
I want it to be a regular event, yes, sir.
Okay. Someone mentioned to me they thought participation from outsiders was more than from our actual residents here. Would you think that's an accurate statement?
That there was participation more from the outside than the inside?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
okay.
Mr. Lawrence,
Uh,
Mr. Sullivan, I can answer that. I had hoped that we would get more participation from the outside, but for both of them, no, it was never as good. I saw more kids I didn't realize lived on the fort.
I'm well aware of the advantages of outside participation. I was just curious what the situation was.
I would have said
We weren't
mostly-
involved in any of the planning or
It has been.
putting it on, so I don't know any of these things.
I would say it was mostly members.
Mostly members.
Okay. Is there a cost involved to the association?
Actually, we've been making a little bit of money,
Yeah.
but very little bit. I mean, we're not in this to make a huge profit.
No, I
The,
understand.
The first fun days, I'm not including the staffing because the staffing are there. It's a constant. They're going to be there anyway. But the first one generated maybe $300, a little bit more. The second one generated less than 200.
Do the vendors, do they pay for their
Yes.
spot?
Yes.
Good. As far as liability, I don't know what a bouncy house is. I'm not from an era to be familiar with that, but I've had some folks express concerns for liability and the fact that they felt there was maybe a little more risk with them. Is our insurance carrier aware of the fact? Oh, by the way, do we own the bouncy house? Oh, okay.
No, that's an individual who.
What's our status or liability of some kid that's too bouncy, bounces himself into an injury?
We're covered anyway. We could have more coverage, I suppose, if we insisted that the individual.
Well, I don't think we need, million-dollar,
Yeah.
multi-million-dollar coverage type limits, but our regular general liability would cover
Anything that
us.
happens on this board.
Okay, well, that's great. Only two more things. The Run for the Border, I understand there's going to be a cash bar at the service club for that.
That's being discussed, yes.
Oh, okay.
That
Do
was
we need
discussed.
special licensing adjustments?
That also has been discussed at that meeting. They may be pursuing their own license,
Okay.
which would put us out of it. And
All
provide their own security in that regard.
All right, the only other thing I would comment on our finances, and of course, this probably to be really accurate needs to wait for that workshop with Randy. But, these financial statements are so involved and so complicated, they can indicate or look like a lot of things and maybe not always the case. because our cash balances, even when you adjust out the impound fund and the insurance hailstorm proceeds, has been steadily declining. And so I don't see that where we're making any large amount of money. So last month, I think it went down about 3,000, and over the last 3 months, around 60-some thousand. So I think that's something, but I don't want people to get a false sense of security here and think that we're making all kinds of profit, because I don't think we are.
I don't think we're in the profit-making business.
No, I don't either. I hope we're not in the money-losing business.
We're not, yeah,
either.
that's even more important, that we're not in the losing business. Yeah.
I appreciate your answers and candor there. Thank you, Richard.
I deal with that all the time with my little machine. Sorry. Okay, more questions? Anybody from the audience have a question? Thank you, Richard. We don't have anybody here from the airport, I don't think. But we do have a report from them, a voluminous report. They are, they have 0 visitors as of June 9th. They're hoping to have 1 at the end of June. Their airfield maintenance is mainly mowing. And with all the water that we've had, they are hoping that the fort will get involved too. And likely you will. I'm talking to Philip back there. They have put up signage, which they say is required by FAA, but we aren't exactly in the FAA hair trigger, I guess jurisdiction. Well, not really, no. Although we are registered as an airport on the FAA website, which is good. They have changed the combination to the lock on the airport access, but as I understand it, security has got that, and so does maintenance. Okay.
And also make sure that they gave that combination to the sheriff's office. So that,
Good. Okay, I would say that that's, if they haven't, we need to make sure that we get it on.
Fire and ambulance, all that. Yeah.
Right, okay. They were hoping for an open house on November 4th. They've been trying to have an open house for some time, have not been able to do it yet. So they're going now for November 4th. They're hoping for 3 or 4 hours open. They are hoping to have a first annual fly-in on December 9th. And then they're also hoping to do a long-term plan for growth and sustainment. What they want from the board is approval to host the airport open house on November 4th, approval to host the first annual fly-in on December 9th, and approval to begin the process of creating an airport growth and sustainment plan, all of which can't be done without a person here from the airport. They also gave us the bios for, I think it's 5 people on the airport committee, the official airport committee, because we had not ever appointed them once they became an official committee. We have them again. We don't have anybody to ask questions of, so we're going to hold those for now. I think Marie is in Hawaii. I wouldn't go this time of year, but I think that's where she is. Anyway, that covers the airport, I think. Anything else? Once again, we would need to ask questions of them. Architectural, do we have someone? Thank goodness for you.
Hi. Nothing fantastic to report. We've approved several permits. And we've sent second letters to a lot of people that have violations. And if we don't get a response from the second letters, then fines are going to be assessed. And Unit 15, we're still working on, and we seem to be having a few problems with Unit 3. So we're working on all that.
When you say working on Unit 15,
Sending second letters to
Oh,
people that have
okay.
had
gotcha.
violations and been sent first letters, and some have responded, some haven't, so, you know.
And we're talking about violations of CCNRs or?
Yes. Mhm. Yeah, and, you know, trash, rubbish, abandoned vehicles, that sort of thing. Briefly, an ongoing problem that's happening a lot is that people are having building materials and whatnot delivered without having a permit. That needs to be addressed. I don't know what the solution would be. Well, I know what it would be, but I don't know if we could implement it. People.
Excuse me, is the architectural committee coming forward and asking the board to do something?
Well, they get their stuff and do
No,
the work and then apply for the permit. You
I
know, it's fast
understand.
backwards.
Yeah.
What I'm asking you is the architectural committee together asking for the board to do something.
We've kind of gone over it a little bit, but we don't know what we can implement. You know, probably what it would involve would be training the girls down at security. When they come in with their trucks to make a delivery, I have to check and see if these people have a permit. No, they don't have a permit, you gotta turn around and leave. Why can't we do that? Why would that work?
Inside work,
they don't have to have a permit.
Ask, excuse me.
Excuse
Wait a minute, don't talk to each other. We've got Matt right back there. Why don't you talk to him?
Try to answer this question.
Matt, why don't you come up closer because we can't hear you very well?
Yes, ma'am. I think for the board, or for both of y'all, don't take my word for this, but you can ask the county attorney. I don't think there is any way that you can stop somebody from going to their house. Once they bought it, and I'm gonna bring up the deal with, let's say that a person had a load of cement, and you turn that load of cement around there at the gate, who assumes liability for that? Fort Clark Springs does. Because you turned it away. And that's what's gonna happen. So when people bring in their materials and stuff, and this is my way of, when I addressed the committee before, hefty fine for people that do not follow the rules. So that's the way you cure that. But again, I would strongly urge both to seek legal advice on that, but I do not think that it would be wise to turn somebody around at the gate going to somebody's house, because you're probably going to be liable for that material and stuff.
Go ahead.
I believe that controlling the delivery of materials through the gate is beyond the realm of the architectural authority to start with. You're making some assumptions. Your position is make sure people have a permit when they do the work, not when they buy the materials. I may have see a big sale on a bunch of material today, but I'm not going to do the work for 2 months, and it's going to be a 6-month project, and so I buy the materials today, but I'm not going to use them, I'm not going to get the permit. You know, there could be all kinds of things. I think you have to be diligent in making sure people have permits for doing their outside work, but you can't control when they bring deliveries of material in my opinion.
I think that's going to stand.
Could we ask security, for instance, to keep track of materials that are coming in and let the architectural committee know these types of things?
Yes, ma'am. They already have a book down there. Chris takes care of most of that, and they have a book, a binder in there that who's supposed to get permits and who isn't. So they're supposed to already be doing this already.
Interesting. Okay, does that helps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start talking to the people who know what's going on. That helps, all right,
And if I may add one little thing,
sure.
enforcement, there has not been much enforcement at all for probably many years. And we are now beginning to enforce, but frankly, we're feeling our way through it. There are little obstacles that we run into, and sometimes we have to back up and redo, but we're moving in the direction of an enforcement program that's going to actually work and do something to improve the situation. So it's only been the last couple of months that we've been truly enforcing the CCNRs, and we'll get it right. It may take us a little time.
Retraining.
We're kind of in on-job training, yeah.
Oh, retraining our members.
Oh, retraining.
That's a good one. Yes, our members are good people. They just don't always do the good stuff. All right, did we have more on this? Architectural committee?
No, that's
Do you
it.
know how many, any idea how many permits this month?
Roughly, maybe somewhere around 15,
Oh,
15 to 20.
so summer
roughly.
work has begun.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I got my permit, I was happy, but I did buy my materials before I asked for the permit. And so I was allowed to have my materials come in. You make a good point.
Yeah, that's an excellent thing. I never thought of that.
Just seems logical.
Yeah, well, logic. Okay. Finance advisory?
Finance Advisory Committee, we met on June 9th at 2 o'clock. We have, with John Brennan, John Griswold, and Bruce Troutwine, myself, and Mr. Lawrence. I spoke to Helena about becoming a member, and she has politely declined because she admits to not having read the information and thought it was more like Mr. Lepisto suggested, a purchasing committee, and it's not. It actually deals with the finances on the fort and not what we buy. So we are okay with 3 members because we determined we could have 3 to 5, and we have 4, including the treasurer. Old business, we just, at our first meeting in April 1st, we gave them copies of the declaration, the budget, the audit, P&Ls, and all that for them to review. And the discussion was, and one of the members indicated that there's not enough money in the budget allowed for marketing and advertising, that to make sure that we get the word out on what a cool place we are out here. So that was actually a comment that everybody agreed with. They have requested a balance sheet, so Richard has requested from Randy that he provide a balance sheet, and there actually is one in the P&Ls this time. There were no other comments on the materials that they received, but they're going to continue to review them, and we will continue to provide updated information. As far as the new business, the committee agreed that before, or that the first project that we were going to undertake was to create a short and long-term plans for FCSA. And to do that, they agreed that first of all, we need to find out what the members believe is important that we have here on the fort. What kind of activities, what type of facilities, what type of services, and so forth. And once we know that, then we will know where to go with our future planning. They are, one of the members, John Brennan, prepared a basic member survey that we are now working on getting some ideas both from the committee, from the staff members, and obviously from the board, oh absolutely, from the board, to put this survey together. It's strictly voluntary. We're going to leave it in common places such as Dickman Hall and the Adult Center and
It could be mailed out with the election
It's gonna go out before then.
before then?
Yeah, we want to do it as, and all these places, and then we're going to collect them at those same places, so you don't have to bring everything up to you admin building. Put it in the dispatch and on the Facebook page. And it's just going to be one of those very important, not important type of surveys. We're going to take that survey, we're going to collate all the responses to it to find out exactly where our members think we should go. Then at that point, put a potential plan or a tentative plan together, and then offer a board workshop to go over this plan to see if it's feasible and eventually with approval. We're going to use this information after that has been done to help formulate the budget for future years. So the committee was unanimous in believing that, first of all, we need to get information from the members as to what they think is important, what type of activities, facilities, and so forth. So that's the plan. Now, because it's summer, our committee members are taking off for various places around the United States for vacations. So our next meeting is not until October 10th at 10 a.m. And during the summer while they're gone, we're still going to be communicating by email to put this survey together so that by the time everyone returns, we will have the survey to present to the board, and we can go from there. And that was our discussion.
Okay,
It's your feet. There you go.
go ahead.
Would you actually possibly need to do a short-term, long-term, and visionary plan for the fort? Maybe need a planning committee that would put together a plan and submit it to the finance advisory committee to figure out financing that plan?
No, actually, I think the people on this particular committee are quite capable of doing that. And if for some reason we can't, then we can try some other type of thing. But in discussing with these three individuals, I think they've got things in hand.
I think, once again, I think that wasn't the question, was it?
To be clear, the finance committee is getting information. That information is going to be then shared with the board of directors. The board of directors is going to be called into a workshop so that this very planning, vision, budgeting is going to, we need a long-range, short-term, long-range goal.
Which is
Okay,
where
great.
it comes
Yeah,
from.
so it's coming to the board. The board is going to be that committee.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Once again, we've got to
Involved.
listen, see what's being said.
Thank you.
All right. Our favorite, golf.
Well, for the month of May. our
I'm letting
figures-
you stay back there, but
Thank
you've
you.
got to be loud enough.
I think I'm pretty loud. Our figures actually went down, but our winter Texans have also left. So in the month of May, we had 403 prepaid members play golf. We had Fort Clark members that pay as they play, 141. Guest members were 94. That's where we make our money from, is our guest members, guest people. We had 18 students, 5 military, 7 gift certificates, and 84 tournament players. How that coincides with 2016, we were 37 less members played, 35 more guest players, for a total of 33 more players this year than last year. I had to remember
Would
what
you
I
like
was.
somebody to hold it through there?
Huh? No. How that compares to last month, we were 259 less players total on the golf course
Fewer this month than last.
than last month. And my figures are for April and May. So that's a substantial difference, and you probably will see those numbers continue to go down some. The hotter it gets, the less players are out there. We're actually talking about probably going to try to figure out some summer specials in the hottest part of the day and see if we can't get some more players in here when there's nobody on the course. We're going to try to do that. We have a tournament, we call it our red, white, and blue. It will actually be our 5th annual red, white, and blue tournament. That's going to be a 4-person scramble, and we're going to do a blind draw. That way all the A players don't go out there amongst themselves and beat all the less players. We're trying to encourage more players and get all levels, and then blind draws. So that equals out A, B, C, D players, so everybody's playing with the same handicap throughout the tournament there.
When is this?
That's July 1st at 10 a.m.
Along with everything else?
Yep. You can buy mulligans, you can buy 2 mulligans, they cost you $5 each, and that goes into our golf course fund. We're trying to bring in more players, so we've actually lowered the entry fee to $10, and everybody would have to pay their own green fees. And so the prepaid members may not have to pay, but the guests are going to have to pay the full amount of green fees. So we're hoping to see what that does. And again, we want men, women, students, beginners, all level of players, because your D playership will actually carry out with your A players and equal out. So we're trying to bring in more players. We also set our Happy Cervantes tournament for early October, and those plans will be coming up pretty quick, and some flyers will be sent out on that. I think we're going to try to go with a 1-day tournament instead of a 2-day tournament, because we don't have a whole lot of people in. People are complaining that that's 2 days here, and so we're going to try and see what a 1-day tournament does in October instead of that 2-day tournament. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Question, yes.
Deputy, we also discussed about people jogging and,
Oh. Yeah, we've got people that come out there and they jog on the course during golfing hours. I don't know if we need to put out something on the dispatch that's probably fine after hours, but it's happening more and more all the time. We've got students that get off the bus and walk across from, instead of going around, they walk right straight through the course, and people are hitting down on number 1 kid up there. They could hit those kids because they can't see them. Also on number 2, they walk across, actually, the fairway. I've seen them walk right across it. But people on the course are out there with their kids in their golf carts. I actually had to stop a guy from hitting because he didn't see this golf cart full of kids. And that was during a tournament. But, and it seems to be getting worse and worse all the time. But we would prefer nobody, if you're not golfing, to even be on that course during.
What are golfing hours? What would?
7 to 6.
7
in the
to
morning
6 at night.
You also have bicyclists using it. I ran into a gal pushing a stroller with a little
Yeah, I mean,
baby
it's just.
down the paths. Just
Exactly.
not good.
No, it's not good, because those balls hurt, believe me. I hit a tree one time, and I had a bruise for 3 months, where it hit the tree and came back and hit me.
I will put a reminder in the dispatch.
right, and I said I would help him with that. Also, we've asked Domingo to make some signs that will be installed at entrances where there are roadway entrances, such as on number 10, where the road comes into the golf course, and wherever a road has an entry point onto the golf course, that say golfers only, not a trail or some such thing. So we are working on that. So if you know anybody that's using that as a trail, please let them know that they're taking their safety into their hands.
And to take a child out there is just beyond it. I cannot imagine why they would do it, but I see them doing it all the
Not
time.
aware of the danger.
Well, they think there's nobody there, but one person is all it takes. And I have seen them out there. But I'm not gonna go out and run them down. we have preservation, and I think we've got a couple things going, okay? That'll work.
I canceled the Preservation Committee meeting because our funds are not balancing with, our projected funds that we think we should have are not balancing with what the treasurer's report at the board meeting is. For instance, last February, they said we had 18,000 something, and today we still have 18,000 something. And March, April, May, and June, we haven't got any money being put in their account for the board meeting. Dan, you said that you wanted to have a workshop with Randy. I would appreciate it if you would notify Debbie and me so we could be at that workshop and we could get our funds straightened out. Otherwise, we can't go forward with projects.
Well, you're not only welcome, you're encouraged to come.
Yeah.
Well, and to be sure, Mr. Galloway has actually asked for that, so that he wants to meet with you and the treasurer and everybody get on the same page.
Okay. So until we get our budget straightened out, we can't go forward with
Well,
projects.
do you have a next, for
Our
instance,
next
say-
project,
Yeah.
we're hoping to get Seminole Hall, which, you know, is basically all the windows around the sides and the back of Seminole Hall.
Do you have an
Which is really
idea
gonna
what
be an
that would
expensive
cost?
project. Pardon?
It will be give me
An estimate?
yeah,
I'm not expertise enough to know. I know,
not arguing that.
I know we had, all the windows on the sides of Seminole Hall will have to be taken out and rebuilt. The ones on the back just may need to have glass and screen put in them. But to say how much it would cost, I'm gonna say, a rough dress would be $30,000 at least.
So we may not have enough there. Okay,
That's all I have to say.
all right.
I have,
I treasure.
I just wanted to say that, the balance with what I'm showing we should have and what Randy, we have, we're about $4,000 somewhere. I don't know where it's at.
Do you have more or he has more?
We should have more. But also, he gave me some figure, but we still don't, we're about 3 months that we don't have accountability for. And then June would be 4 months. And the reason we want to work on Seminole Hall is because according to keep our tax status down on that building, we have to show that we're actually working on that building somewhere.
And there's no money left in the,
We've got about, I didn't plan on making a report, but I can start making a treasurer's report.
I don't need it.
But I did talk to Randy. I talked to Randy once already. He was supposed to got with me before our next meeting. He didn't call me. I seen him the other day. And I told him, next time he's gonna be here, let me know ahead of time.
Let's
And
have you at the,
Let's start balancing that.
Debbie, let's have you at the workshop, and let's stop this now.
We'll see you at the workshop.
All right,
I have,
there was something, is there no money left, Sandy, is this, it doesn't involve hail damage or anything like this on Seminole Hall?
No, this is
Okay.
not hail damage.
All right, just
Okay,
checking.
and just to comment, because I was liaison before Dan took it over, but one of the issues 3 years ago is that they calculate, or they pull out, they're supposed to be pulling out the dollar assessment for all of the, that everybody pays. That is by member vote allotted to preservation, but it is not put in their account. It is just set aside. And Debbie needs to know how much is set aside from that account so that she can add it to what is physically in the preservation's own account.
And Dan had it. Before we get anybody else in, Dan's got something here that's.
this is not a big deal, just a clarification point. 2 months ago, we had a discussion about concerns with some of the doors on the Post Theater needing to be painted to preserve them from dry rotting out or being beaten up by the sun. At that time, the board agreed to furnish the labor if the Preservation Committee paid for the paint. The following month, which was last month, I believe, the Preservation Committee told us they didn't want to pay for the paint. They thought we should do that and take care of all general maintenance. And I think it may have been mentioned, I'm not sure on this, that Philip may have had some paint they could use there, but I'm not positive.
These years.
At any rate, it brings us to a point where we need to clarify who's gonna do it, and I went over and looked at it, I'm not even sure if they need painting, but that's for someone else to decide, not me. But it brings us to the final point, and that is a question of who is going to be responsible for the overall general maintenance of our historic buildings. The Preservation Committee pointed out they don't have that kind of a budget to do it, and if they're gonna be held responsible to do that, they need money allocated to them. Otherwise, it's up to the fort. So that's a decision that has to be made by the board, and I'm thinking maybe it's something that we actually have to put on the agenda, like for next month, or something, a discussion, who's gonna be responsible for the general maintenance of those buildings?
Philip, do you have some input on this right now, or?
I do have paint for those doors, and I mean, we don't mind doing it. Being that the catching up that I'm doing with my staff and with the mowing and all that good stuff, unless there is a immediate problem with a building, it kind of gets tended to when we have the time to do it, like on a down day, or inside work gets done on a rainy day, or if all my mowing is ever caught up, then I can put 2 people on, say, Seminole Hall and paint a window or something like that. That's kind of how that works. Unless somebody has brought to me, hey, you've got a door that's rotted, you've got rain coming in, you're ruining the building. That's kind of the way they get handled.
I understand, I actually went out and physically inspected those doors myself, and I even questioned, there doesn't seem to be a dire need for paint at this point. In fact, it looks like it just faded out a little bit, but
Yes, sir.
that's my opinion.
The one door that Garland had brought up in 2 different meetings that was broken in the storm, that has since been fixed, redoweled, re-screwed, repainted, and put back up.
Great. Thank you, Philip.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Philip. Recycling.
Well, I won't come up to the microphone. I don't have much to report this month, except that we did file our second quarter report with CTRA regarding the carton project. We have not received cartons from the school yet to bail. I'm expecting that they're gonna call all of a sudden and say, hey, we've got this load of cartons, we need to get them bailed. I'll deal with it when they let me know. The fort membership is welcome to recycle cartons. We have special mesh bags for them to go in so that they don't mold and smell bad. Yeah, are we out of bags?
No, rinse them out.
What?
Rinse out the cartons before
Yes.
you bring them.
Yes.
Open the top. Open the top.
Open the
and-
top and rinse them.
Yes.
Because, can you imagine what sour milk smells like after a month in hot weather? Anybody want to take?
If
care
you're a
of that?
volunteer, you don't have to ask.
I mean, that should be a reason enough to do it. We are sort of in between as far as sending a load. I'm hopeful that the load that we sent last will show positive. CTRA is closed the first week in July, so there will be no shipping of goods until probably mid-July. I mean, the volume seems to be holding even when the winter Texans aren't here, which is good.
Our biggest collector is mixed paper.
Mixed paper, yes.
Are we making any money on
Ask her, I don't know.
As I said, I'm hoping. Right now, we are, I think it's less than $100 in the hole with CTRA. And that's without the shipping credits that we're entitled to.
it? Great.
So, and of course, the cardboard is a big profit center. And the last I heard, Philip, we're what, how many short of them?
7 short of a full load of cardboard.
Okay.
And we still have
So we
another bale
will
of
be shipping
plastic.
sometime this summer, I would think.
Great.
Yeah.
Have we been able to clean up Philip's mess up over there?
I'm sorry.
Philip had a huge amount of cardboard, is that cleaned up now?
Yeah, that went in first load,
Just checking.
pretty much, yeah.
I remember the pictures of that.
It was pretty horrible. But, yeah, it's, this time when the cardboard ships, we will not have the $1,200 deficit that we had to satisfy with CTRA either. So that load of cardboard should be all money.
Great. Okay, thank you. We have a short report from the RV. Who can I talk into doing that?
If I can find it, I'm happy to do. Okay. Trust Monique to have everything right at hand, yeah. It's very short, so I'm just going to read it. It's from June. Fort Clark Springs and Campers World continued to have bike riders arriving almost daily. We had a great Memorial Day weekend of campers. Fort Clark Springs RV Park. May was slow as usual. Memorial Day brought in 16 RVs to the park. We have begun painting in between rains and things are looking great. The RV park will continue to host a Bible study on Tuesday mornings at 10 in the RV kitchen. Thanks to those who made it possible to freshen up the park with a new coat of paint. And thanks to Ryan for painting in between mowing and rains. Have a wonderful summer. Diana Stewart.
Okay. Well, one of the things I was going to ask from Diana was numbers more often. She says there are bicyclists arriving every day, but she doesn't say how many total. I'd really like to get that, because who's riding in this heat? And I know they are.
Just a question that I think would have to be put forth to Diane, if someone has the opportunity, but is our RV park still listed in Good Sam's Trailer Life?
I don't know the answer to that, we can ask.
Yeah, I didn't expect that you would, but
It should
be good to know.
What was the?
Good Sam.
It's Good Sam's, it's called Trailer Life, there's another one that's called Woodall's.
Maybe you
It's a
could,
big, thick listing
There
of
there
all
are
the
several
RV parks.
that we should be in.
yeah, maybe we should find out where we're listed and if we've dropped off any of those listings. Because I know we used to be listed in several
We
of the
used
major.
to even have a full page exalting the value of Fort Clark in the beginning of that section they were
Yeah, it was
listed.
mentioned earlier that we need a budget for advertising, and that certainly would be included.
Big budget for that. I think it's one of the things that we don't think about. We know all about it, but we forget that we need to
No.
spend money. And you guys are so good to us that we forget we need to spend a lot of money. Talking to Jan right now. You were asleep, I know. Go ahead.
I'm Joe Hendricks, and I'm new to the fort, but I've been a full-time RVer for a long time, and I just looked on Allstays, which is what me and many other full-timers use to stay at RV parks, and we're listed here, but it's listed in the wrong place, and it's behind the golf course. This is something that needs to be addressed, but I've always wondered why RVers go by here all the time. I stayed here because I had family here. So that might be one of the reasons, is the online place is a lot easier and it's cheaper to bring people here. But if they don't see it, and if it's in the wrong place, they might not know exactly where to go.
Thank you. It's something, again, we need to be looking at. Maybe it's something, are you living here full-time now?
Yes, ma'am. I'm taking care of my mother-in-law, so
All right.
it's
Maybe
a
you
temporary
could,
full-time.
maybe you could volunteer to help us out with that. Since you have
I can
that.
definitely look into it and see what it's going to take to make it
That would be
happen.
great. You can get in touch with Richard,
Yes, ma'am.
or he'll find you, I bet.
I know where you live.
Okay.
Marketing is probably our weakest link.
Yes, it is. Debbie?
We used to belong to Passport, Escapees, Good Sam. We give discounts and we're supposed to be in all of those different books.
There's another one called Camp Native that's free also.
Yeah. There are a number of places that we should be listed that are free, that I'm not sure we are, but somebody has to check on it.
Yeah, it's not just a matter of money, but it's also a matter
Right.
of staffing.
Go ahead.
I believe, I may be wrong, I haven't looked in the last month or so, but I think we are in Passport America. I know we do give the discount out there. Passport America is a very good,
Check it out for us.
it's a good one.
Okay. Anything any of you can do in a volunteer way, we'll accept it. Please. Go ahead.
Well, I talked about Camp Native with you. I don't have permission to put Bracketville RV on Camp Native.
No, we're not saying do it on your own.
No,
You know, I mean, you're
we're
asking
asking
for
you to,
volunteers.
we're asking you to volunteer to tell us about it,
Okay,
not to do it, not to do
well,
it
if you
yourself.
have somebody that's gonna be doing that, that would be the person. Like, if you ask Joe Hendricks to do that, or create another committee.
We'll work it out.
Yeah.
If we can, if there are volunteers who are interested in helping us with marketing, we need the help. It's time consuming, it's costly, so yes.
Right.
If you're interested in doing that, let me know, we'll go from there.
We are not asking you to do anything on your own off, over there somewhere. Okay, thank you. We have a recreation report, do we?
You do.
Go for it.
In regards to RV, Diane has asked me to help her develop a.
Identify yourself
I'm
because,
sorry, I'm Caroline Goodwin, I'm the events coordinator here on the board. Diane has asked me to help develop a brochure for the RV park, which I have not started on, but it is on my top 10 disasters of the day to move forward with. I have a couple of things to talk about. Some of them are outside events, most of them are internal recreation events. First, the Fort has joined the Del Rio Chamber of Commerce as well as the Military Affairs Chamber. So we will be able to start advertising with them for free. They have over 1,000 members in this area. The Fort recently hosted a junior ROTC group here. The Historic Society participated in that. They had a wonderful time. Their commander, Major Link, is going to spread the word among the regional ROTC units. This is a great place for them to have a leadership retreat, so we're excited about that. Maria Perkins helped get the 47th Support Squadron out here from Laughlin Air Force Base. They also thought we were marvelous. Russell Knoll gave them a tour of the fort, and they said the magical words, military ball, in relation to the fort. They loved Dickman Hall. So we're trying to draw that crowd out here as well. Your military are great customers. They pay their bills, they pick up their trash, and they're appreciative of anything you can do for them. Inside the local the recent Paint by the Pool party, the kids' art class down by the pool was a huge success. We had about 20 kids show up, 3 of the moms stayed to help. Thanks to Melissa Simon and Lisa Vale, who volunteered their time and their efforts. There is a kids' 3-day cooking class at the Civic Center in July that's being put on by the Texas Agri-Life office. Emily Grant, we are helping with that. There is going to be a community back-to-school bash down by the pool that is being hosted by the First Baptist Church in August that will be open to the entire community. And the Kinney County Arts Council is doing a free art camp in July for children as well here in the county. Let's see what else. I want to continue working with the Community Council on the free monthly movies and other community events that make this a better place to live and I'll give us all something to do. And we are starting to plan on expanding the teen center services. And Randy at MUD is working on getting a quote to resurface the basketball court and the tennis courts by the teen center. So I will keep you posted on that.
Getting a what?
The basketball court
Well, I understand,
resurface.
I understand what you're gonna do, but how's he going to do it?
He's getting a quote from the outside to have it resurfaced, what it will cost. He has said that MUD would share that cost with us. So we
A
will,
lot of cement.
it would be asphalt. It'll be asphalt.
Oh,
Yeah. Cement's a little above us right now,
okay,
but,
okay.
and that's all I
Thank
have
you.
for recreation.
Great, thank you.
Let me mention that Carol Ann, in her day-to-day activities, is largely responsible for some of the marketing that does take place, and she has been doing a marvelous job. but we do need to do it in a much.
And those of us who are too old to know about it, Facebook and other places like that, I
Yeah.
understand we're doing better there, right?
Emily Grant is doing our Facebook and our social media for us, and she is doing an incredible job. Yes,
And getting the rest of us up to speed on it?
she is trying. The 4th of July celebration on July 1st has already had about 3,000 hits on Facebook. Multiple likes, multiple shares. So yes, our Facebook page is looking wonderful.
And that's a significant part of marketing these
Yes,
days,
it is.
social media.
It is indeed. Okay, thank you, Caroline. Don't go away because we've got you for something else, I believe. The ad hoc bylaw revision, oh, there you are.
Yes, good morning. My name is Phyllis Gibble, and I am the chairperson of the Ad hoc Bylaw Committee. And then I would like to, in the minutes, we are an advisory committee and not a revision committee yet. You know, we have completely gone through the bylaws and have gone, and we do have a very rough copy that I would like to present to the board. And we met just this month on June 5th, 6th, and 15th with the full committee present, and we have really, really done some great, I feel, some great work on it. I want to thank Dan Sullivan for being there, for his input, and of course Ann. And then at our last meeting, a member of our committee is our county attorney, and really helped us a lot with the laws that we need to be presented in our bylaw committee. One thing that I do want to thank that I'd like to point out in the new bylaw, or if the board accepts them, is that we do have references to the property laws and the business laws, because there's a lot of people that'll say, well, why do we have to do this? Well, we have to do this because, and I think that is a really good, strong background and backup for our bylaw committee and for to help support our revised declaration of our covenants. I always forget it.
Okay, well, yeah, declaration. Why don't we take just the word revision out and have you be an ad hoc bylaw committee without any explanation?
Okay. Anyway.
All right, and now you're saying that you've come to you've got a...
I've got a very rough draft. At the next meeting, we're going to take this time, we're going to go through it and just really, we're doing word check, we're doing spell check, we're trying to get it to the best in the best form.
So you want to give us a rough draft now, and you will continue to work on it, is that it?
Correct.
Okay. I don't see a problem with that. Just make
It's just,
make a note of it.
yeah.
Thank you, and we'll make copies.
It's not final at all.
We'll make copies for everybody. Or do you have it on?
No.
Do you have some? Okay, never mind. I know that Monique knows what to do with it to get it to us. Okay.
I've got a thumb drive. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Where you just make copies.
Community Council. Is that Gina?
Okay, well, most of us were gone doing different things. Charles Fields and Melissa Simon were the only ones there. We did have probation officer Guillermo Guzman as a speaker, and we're going to be bringing him back because he had some really great information for us. The only thing we have is, well, we have the movie coming up June 30th, The Space Between Us, that was canceled in May. And our next meeting won't be till September. Okay. And if I could just real quick address, I forgot her name, about being cool. The hope was that the Methodist Church was at a conference in Corpus, and we took brochures, we took the Kinney County bags, we took all the information we had from here.
What you're talking about, yes.
And we passed it out, and we talked and we talked and we talked, because everybody is like, where is Brackenville to begin with, and then Fort, Mr. Lawrence was nice enough to give us a one-night stay at the motel, and the Bonton gave us 2 free meals. So we had a drawing, so we had them sign up, we have emails and everything for them, and we'll pick someone from that. So, and Hope was kind of one of the focus of the conference, so it's like, it was a big thing for us, so that is some good marketing for us.
Good marketing.
Good
Yes.
marketing for us.
Thank you.
And as far as the doors, and I don't know, Army is coming July, the 3rd week in July. It's United Methodist Army, they're a mission team. They will be working on the benches at the quarry. And their numbers keep going up as to how many people are coming because they hear about us. So last time she said, there's 80 kids coming now, and we're like, oh my God. So I don't know if they might be able to volunteer to paint the doors.
Great.
Okay?
There must be some, just trash pickup,
Yeah.
along the fence in front.
We're gonna be having a little meeting to discuss all of the things that, repairs that can be done by the UM Army. We appreciate
By
the
80
meeting.
people.
By 80 people. I bet we could find 80 jobs.
I bet. And that will keep Philip busy because, he doesn't have anything to do. Thank you so much for what you do. And sitting through this meeting is one of them, thank you. Carol Ann, you'll find. We're happy to have you, but we're not very good at it. Okay. Remember, we don't see the community council again until September. We're now moving into a discussion of the 4th of July celebration. And maybe you can tell us something about it. Richard, I'm disappointed that it's on the 1st. I'm going to say that right away. I'm disappointed that a lot of things about it, but explain how it got there, and then maybe, I'm still going to be disappointed, but maybe I'll feel better.
The last thing I want to do is disappoint you, but I'm going to have to. We'll stop in a minute, I think. The 4th of July celebration has been moved from the 4th of July to the 1st of July, which is the Saturday before that. On the Saturday before that, we have many things going on in this fort. There will be a huge number of people on the fort at that time. And not only will my staff be trying to assist and coordinate with those events and activities taking place, which also include not only the tournaments, but also the motorcycle rally and a car rally, and first the family fun day, just many activities going on, many people coming, and staff is going to be fully engaged. Now, it came to my attention that there was not much of an effort to be made by volunteers to put together a 4th of July activity on the 4th of July. And although there was some involvement, it was not going to happen unless the fort stepped forward. It then became a matter of resource allocation from my perspective. Could I re-engage the staff 3 days later to put forth a 4th of July celebration? I concluded that I could not. So we simply quickly planned for a 4th of July celebration at the end of the Saturday of the 1st. And that has unfolded very nicely. So to make a long story short, we got a million things going on that day, July the 1st. We have the resources, we have the manpower available on that day, so we're going to do the 4th of July celebration at the end of that day as well, which will, the topper will be what I hope will be a very, very good fireworks display. We will have the parade. The parade will line up at 6 p.m. in the city, come to the fort as usual. That will be followed by a little ceremony of sorts, and that will be followed by the fireworks display. This is the topper of a very big
The
day.
ceremony will be what?
The ceremony is going to be 4th of July speakers. Has that been confirmed?
Yes. After the parade, the stage is being set up the same place it was last year, so the parade ends at the Butcher Block.
I don't have any problem with what you're saying. I need to know a little bit more about what the ceremony is, please.
The ceremony is, the Boy Scouts will be carrying the colors in the parade. They will be presenting the colors at the stage. There will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Cynthia Inkstrom will be singing the national anthem. Pastor Y.J. Jimenez will be giving the blessing. Mayor Rodriguez has agreed to be the guest speaker. He is a 24-year Army veteran. The community band, I meet with them Monday. They will be playing as well. Mr. Lawrence has agreed to be the master of ceremonies. It will be a short patriotic presentation. There will be the recognition of veterans with the medley, and then there will be the fireworks.
I think.
Oh, and the dance.
And the dance. One of the employees has a friend who is a DJ who is volunteering his time, and he will be playing patriotic music during the fireworks, and then there will be a street dance afterwards, as there was in the past. And I did do some research. The small towns in this area, Concan, Lakey, Hondo, Camp Wood, all of their July 4th celebrations are on the same weekend ours is. The bigger cities do theirs on the actual 4th because they simply have more resources.
I'm not arguing that. What I have concern about is that every year in the June meeting, we discover what's going to be done, and the board hasn't been involved in it. And typically, the board is giving money and not much else. I don't think we should wait until June to hear about this. And I can understand that we did not realize until late in the game that we were going to have to do the whole thing. But it seems to me that if you start in December or January talking about the 4th of July, it makes more sense. And when I say you, I don't mean, I'm looking at you, but I don't necessarily mean you. And maybe it's something I need to take the lead on myself, because I seem to be the only one concerned. But it's one of the things that us old people look forward to every year. And it's one of the things that has become, in this particular case, very difficult to do because of the heat. Putting a parade at the bottom of the day is difficult for those of us who can't breathe. Anyway, it's a planning thing. You've done an extremely good job of getting it all together. There are a number of people calling me saying, can't we do any kind of fireworks on the 4th of July? And the answer is no, of course we can't afford to do two. And I offered to have one of them who I knew could afford it. I said, you could do it.
Yeah, I do need to point out, it is not, or has not been a Fort Clark event.
Never has been.
And yet this year, the ball was passed to us and we want to carry the ball. But it has not been a Fort Clark event for Fort Clark to plan. It has been a community event.
Right, and it still should be. It still should be. But if we start in January or even September, I don't care.
And if
but if we can't be involved in it, I don't think we should be putting money into it in June. That's my point. Are there other people who'd like to complain loud and long?
I could probably come up with a comment or two.
Good.
I basically agree with you, Myrna. I believe that when the association is putting on an event, a meaningful event, the board should be involved in oversight and approval. And I would ask this, I understand, or I'm sort of gleaning from this discussion that the community council or Brackettville or Spofford are no longer involved in the event, that we're doing the event entirely. Is that correct?
I would have to say that's correct.
Okay, so then
There's some participate, but not.
And it's not just the fort, it's the fort staff that's doing it.
Sure. What kind of a budget do we have for this? This is obviously going to cost some money, I would think.
It engages our staff, of course, so we have that. But with regard to the fireworks, we later will be asking for the board to approve some $500 to contribute to that. But we have been seeking funds elsewhere, and I believe we're going to target about $1,800 for a fireworks display. But the fort's contribution to that would be about $500 if you approve it.
Okay, that's good, because the $500
Carol
fireworks
Answers and
display
Grenade.
isn't much.
Carol Answers wants to respond to you.
We received about $1,000 in donations so far from community businesses and individuals, not just board members. Dan Laws has always led the 4th of July committee. He is retiring and stepped down. Martha Padron also had to step down this year. I do think that next year there will be more community labor activity. It just happened.
Speaking of Martha, do we have any reason why after so many years she no longer can, huh? She's ill?
The school is providing the stage. Rio Grande Electric is setting up the sound and will monitor the sound. So there is some community involvement. It's just as far as the planning, the community council stepped in and also wanted to help. They could not do the 1st, they could do the 4th. So again, I don't think this is permanent. And next year, yes, we do not plan on it being started in June.
Sounds like a lot of work and a lot of involvement you're doing. We thank you for that, but possibly the board being involved could be helpful in the future.
It really could, because I have people calling me. Of course, they're calling me in June. Didn't call me in January. But they want to be involved. They could have been involved if they had known that there was a planning committee for the 4th of July. These are volunteers. These are volunteers.
Truthfully, I didn't realize it was going to be us until 3 weeks
No,
ago.
I do understand that. And I don't mean to take away from all that you are doing, because it's amazing. I mean, that you got all this together after everybody dropped out. The community council and our staff, especially Carol Ann, it's just been amazing that you've been able to get this together.
As far as cost, other than maintenance and security hours, the only cost will be if you choose to make a donation for the fireworks. The vendors.
We're not donating, it's a cost to us.
It is a cost.
Okay, be clear on that. It's not a donation that comes this
Because
way.
Family Fun Day will be down by the pool. The vendors that will be there are paying for their spots the same way they did last year. We do have barbecue this year. Funnel cakes is coming back. The same hot dog cart that was here last year has asked to come back, and we will have some arts and crafts. Again, same as last year. This year we chose to put them down by the pool under the shade trees so they don't die of heat exhaustion. The Boy Scouts are going to be selling at the Duck End as a fundraiser, snow cones and cold watermelon slices. Volleyball net will be up. So there will be fun things to do during the day by the pool in the shade. And then at night, it all moves up to the butcher block, like it always has been.
We appreciate all that, but I think what we're doing here is focusing on the future.
Next year, absolutely, we will
And you'll be aware of, you won't be getting the last minute bomb dropped on you.
Well, next year, I would hope that the full community would again be engaged so that it is not a Fort Clark event.
I don't mind it being a Fort Clark event. I mind that we don't get involved in the planning of it until June. I'm sure.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. I wish that I had not been involved.
I understand, and I guess if I had not been on the board all this time, and every time June comes around, the same thing would go. So I just something going on behind me. So I put this on the agenda, and I've had my say, and I'm hoping next year will be better. Okay. Now, consideration for approval of $500 for the purchase of fireworks. It is not a donation because we are doing it is out of our budget. So we're not calling it a donation. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve $500 for purchase of fireworks for Independence Day celebration.
I'll second it. Do I understand that's fireworks for July 1st?
Yes, it is.
It's
She
a July
say-
1st celebration. All right, thank you. I will second.
It is the July 4th on July 1st.
Better early than late.
That's why we said the Independence Day celebration instead of the 4th. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Is there a discussion?
I have a comment. I think in the past, we have, when we were involved with the community planning, also donated money toward the fireworks display, along with other members of the community. So I have to disagree. I think this is still a donation, whether we are running it or not. I think it's still a donation based on our past donations for fireworks.
It would have been, I'm going to say this again, it would have been a donation if it was not ours to do.
Who are we donating it to?
Don't we have a fund for donations? Yeah. We have a fund for donations and we have funds for this. So, anybody have another comment? All right. Are we ready to vote? All in favor?
Thank you.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Consideration for approval of a donation to the Boy Scouts. Now, I understand this is to send Boy Scouts to camp.
Mr. Chuck Fields had come to me and asked would I approach the board for a donation of $500 to send, excuse me, to send these scouts to a summer camp, scout camp. And I told him that I would put it before you.
That's all the information we have?
That's pretty much all the information. He cannot, I asked him would he be here this morning. He said he would try, but apparently he has not been here.
I do not see him.
We,
Is there-
a
go
couple
ahead.
months ago, gave $300 to the Little League. Is there, I mean, I love the Boy Scouts, I think they're great. What about the Girl Scouts?
They didn't
They
get,
have a scout, Girl Scout.
they're pretty
Can
much.
they go with?
I don't see why not. Why not? Never mind. Go ahead.
My name's Phyllis, and, you know, I was a professional Girl Scout, and they are a self-supporting institution, and honestly, I'm against this because they can do fundraisers, they're gonna be doing this, are they not getting some profit from
Yes.
the running the duck hall? And this is part of being a Boy Scout, is to support themselves. Now, there may be some other reasons behind it, and I'm sorry that Chuck's not here to say why they're doing it. There are 3 Boy Scouts that this is supporting, and not that there's 3 or there's 100, but they, in my opinion, Boy Scouts are self-supporting.
Well, we run into complications. We have now have complications.
Complicated.
Yep. Did we have a motion for this?
all the members feel.
I hate to just be a black person in this discussion, but Kurt and I did Boy Scouts for years and years, and we never asked anybody for any money. We had people give us money because they wanted to, but we never asked for it. They'd give us money for gasoline, they'd give us money for soda, you know, when we were going somewhere, but it was usually the parents of the Boy Scouts that did that. Sometimes it would be somebody else. I'd love it for y'all to give them the money, but I'm like Phyllis, you know, we just.
I was a Cub master for a number of years, and we never took donations. We had fundraisers, and we're self-supporting without any problem. I have to say that.
Parents, you know, did it.
Yeah, we'd sell candy and do all that kind of
Pop
stuff.
Tarts?
I don't have a motion.
Unless they're going to the one in Colorado, are they going to Colorado? Is
I'm
that
sorry, I
where
don't
they're
have
going?
details.
You don't have any, I mean, if they were going up to Philmont.
Yeah, no, we don't have anything other than what they want, because they haven't told us much about where and what and so forth. We don't have a motion, is it going to drop for lack of a motion? Okay. Carol Ann, you have a lot to answer for here.
I'd rather have a
Oh,
root canal than stand up here.
Just a minute. I've been asked for a break.
Break?
If we do, let's make it 10 minutes and we're back on.
Okay. That's okay, I've got 10 minutes to sit back here and quiet the panic.
Oh, that was the, oh, yeah.
Signaling the end. Have everybody back where they belong and quietly listening. Now you're up. Did you panic enough? Oh, good.
Joe Hendricks has some information as well, so he's volunteered to stand up here with me and help give me some courage. As the events coordinator at the fort, my job has two main responsibilities. The first one is to develop recreation, event activities for members or families that make this a better place to live. The second responsibility is to help identify outside revenue streams that will support the fort and bring money in to help maintain and improve the venues and the buildings that we have. With both of those things in mind, I'd like to respectfully request that the Board of Directors consider the following information and request. Disc golf, also called Frisbee golf, is a family-friendly fun sport that has a huge local, state, and national following. It's easy, inexpensive to play, and players have shown that they're willing to travel to play on a fun course. Currently, there's a city disc golf course in Del Rio, B.O.D, and Junction. There are 7 courses in San Antonio and more than 15 in Dallas and Fort Worth and Houston, respectively. Some of them are owned by the city, some of them are private. Typically, disc golf courses are free to play on. The revenue being generated comes through tournaments and the purchase of disc. After getting a go-ahead from the Fort Clark Springs Golf Committee and Mr. Lawrence, my goal is to hopefully share the par 3 9-hole golf course in the front of the fort between ball golf and disc golf, so that we will be able to provide a new amenity for members and their families that can be enjoyed year-round without disrupting the use of the par 3 for ball golf, generate revenue streams through tournaments and sales and rental of disc through the motel office, generate indirect revenue streams through families and groups of players coming to the fort to spend the weekend. They play golf, we can do packages, eat at the cafe, have a drink at Dickman Hall, hike the trails, and I truly believe this will generate positive PR for the fort, not only as a wonderful place to live, but a great place to vacation 1 weekend at a time. I am respectfully asking the Board of Directors to approve $2,000 for the purchase of the golf baskets for the par 3 9-hole course. Total cost is actually $2,665, which is inclusive of taxes, shipping, all 9 baskets, and installation equipment. We've received a verbal commitment of about $400 in donations from people on the fort. I am positive we can get the rest of that very quickly. So it does show that there is already an interest here, and that we could get this up this summer. I feel very strongly that we would start to see interest immediately. There would be a small revenue stream that would grow and more than pay back the initial investment. We could start planning a tournament for the fall using the Del Rio Chamber of Commerce, the B.O.D Chamber of Commerce, because they already have courses, and then get the Chamber of Commerce involved here in Kinney County. Joe, he lives here on the fort with his family. He is an avid disc golfer, as is his young son. He is here to answer any questions that you may have. He has walked the course.
I want him to explain to us.
What disc golf is?
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. I'd be more than glad to. Again, I'm Joe Hendricks, and I haven't played disc golf in a long time because I haven't been around a disc golf course. But you know, I did the research on all the other courses in Uvalde and Del Rio and San Antonio, and they're not great disc golf courses. Well, they're just not well taken care of. And what's really cool about this par 3 golf course over here is that it's maintained all the time. And one of the benefits of a disc golf course is that basically all you have to do is mow. In fact, it's almost an advantage sometimes if it's not mowed, because then you lose discs and then they have to buy discs again. So it's really well taken care of. The only other thing you might have to do is just weed eat around those holes. And what I've done is I've designed an 18-hole course that can be added later. And the way that I'm thinking about doing this is doing the holes where the 18 can be eventually. It'll be 9 right now. It'll be a nice course. It'll be challenging, and it'll get people out there playing. Let me just explain it to you. So, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. So this is a driver. Just like in regular golf, you have different discs for different things. And a driver usually always turns to the left, but some turn to the right. Some go further. Some glide higher. This is a mid-range. This goes really straight, so when you're closer to the disc, kind of works like a 9-iron. It just gets you closer, you have more control over it. And this is a putter. A putter is heavier, it falls really fast, so if you're really bad and you miss it, like I am many times, it'll just fall short and won't glide past the hole. And when you get into the basket, hit it as hard as you can. You have chains that allow the disc to drop into it. And everything is usually a par 3, and you just try to get your disc into the basket in 3 shots. And it takes time, and it's addicting. It allows you to walk the course, allows eye-hand coordination, which we all need to work on, and it's helping my son, get strength and learn how to throw a frisbee. But more than anything, it's just really good activity. You join other people while you're on the golf course. You're meeting other people all the time. But it gets you out there, and almost every... Yes, ma'am?
The baskets and the playing, does that interfere with the par 3 golf?
It does not in this instance. I actually went out there. Now, when Carol Ann came to me, I just assumed that disc golf was going to take over the whole thing. But when I went out there, and that's not what she said, that's just what I assumed. I went out there and I walked in and I thought, well, they can live in harmony because, first of all, you don't want to put a disc golf basket on a green. It's just, first of all, it's kind of cheesy, but you kind of want to put it around a tree sometimes so it makes it a little harder for people to get their disc in.
That was my concern.
I've also done some research. There is a growing trend for golf courses that have issues financially to share the course with disc golf, and the way that snowboarders were hated when they started with the ski resorts, and it has been working, and that's a national
It's so
trend.
noisy.
Has the golf committee considered this?
Yes, they have. Debbie's here. She talked about it with them, and Debbie?
We did have a meeting. The only thing our concern was, there's a Thursday group that plays that course in the afternoon. And then in the wintertime, there's a group of people that play on Monday mornings. And Carol Ann assured that that would not interfere with either one of those groups. Other than that, it's just the sporadic people on that course at any given time.
So there would be no objection?
The golf committee did
More
not
likely
have an objection
mornings.
whatsoever.
There is currently a young group of boy high school students that have their own portable basket, and they take it around the course and play every Friday.
Yeah, if they're willing to bring their own basket, they would be just amazed at a 9-hole golf course here. And just to adjust what you were saying earlier, to make this place kind of cool and let people be aware of it, this is a great way to do it. Especially, you can't charge an arm and a leg for people to come here and visit the fort and play disc golf. You need to let them do it for free if you can. And they get to experience all the amazing things. And in the 6 months that I've been here, I'm more amazed every single time I find out something new about this fort. And I've grown to really love it. I did not expect to be here this long, but I'm really enjoying it. And you have to get people to get here time and time again to let them learn about the fort. And the more they come, the more they're going to learn, the more they're going to love it, and the more they're going to take care of the buildings and everything else here.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you buy the discs? Do you rent the discs? How does that
We
work?
had thought that using the motel staff, that you could do a disc rental if somebody just came for the day and wanted to try it. You could rent one for $10. You bring the disc back, we will give you $5 back. If they like it, Joe assures me they're gonna want their own disc. How many do you own?
I own about 12 myself, because it is addicting and all the discs do different things. These wholesale for an average of $7 to $8, and you retail them for about 12 to 15, sometimes more.
I do think that it would make the family recreational membership more attractive because it is something else to do. Yes, you can come to play frisbee or disc golf, but you have to be a member to use the pool, except for Family Fun Day. So how much is a membership? Well, you know, that's worth it. We're willing to do that. Oh, you have hiking trails too. I hope to start doing more birding events. The one that Emily Grant planned earlier this year was, again, a great success.
You'd be amazed how many birders we have.
Well, and as far as the military ball goes and all that stuff, there's a 9-hole course on the base that's just kind of plain and simple. And I was talking to a guy down on the river the other day. He had a membership here, and I asked him how he liked it. He said, oh, you know, the entrance fee to get in is a little expensive, but there's not much to do in Del Rio, so I come here. He said he wished there was a little bit more, and this is just another thing to bring that military crowd out here. You know, and same thing I said before. If they're coming out here to play disc golf and they see this hall over here and they say, well, we can have our military ball here. This is really cool. You know, that's just another advantage that it brings.
I'm confused though. You're saying that this is gonna be beneficial in one way by attracting more people to come for a weekend vacation or whatever, but on the other hand, you're saying they have to be a member here.
No, they would have to be a member here. If they come here to play golf, they come as a guest of the fort. But once you're looking around and look at that incredible swimming pool, and it is explained to them for a family recreational membership, then you have access to all of the amenities.
So would a non-member, say, staying at the motel, be able to play the course free?
Yes.
Okay.
Currently, the course is set up that if you are not a fort member, that you are supposed to put $3 in.
Yeah.
I have that,
But that's never collected?
almost nobody does.
No.
These are the rules that are set out there now. We can leave them the same, and that would certainly be changeable, you know, if we think that something would work better after 6 months. That is up to you guys to make those adjustments, and that there's nothing wrong with
It's up to
that.
us to approve.
Well,
The
that too.
adjustments that you recommend, yes.
I don't see that there would be too much of a conflict out there, especially if we end up establishing specific day for disc golf. That doesn't conflict with what we know goes on out there right now, to let people know, because you could actually advertise a specific day
I would
for
reverse it.
disc golf.
And we're saying that Monday morning and Thursday
well, I'm not saying it's.
The rest of the time you could use it for disc golf.
Yeah, but maybe have one day that you could use just for that. And I'd have to talk to the golf committee about this, but we have a lot of expertise on the golf committee in running tournaments. So the golf committee might be able to help with that, or at least the people who volunteer for tournaments might be able to help if we set this up and decide to have like a big tournament for disc golf.
Absolutely. Be to everybody's benefit to involve them because they know how to run a tournament.
Tournament of the Chambers of Commerce.
Maybe we could do that on 4th of July.
Well, and you can also, the same way a regular golf course, you sponsor baskets. You get local businesses or groups to pay $100 to have their little business sign put in front of a certain basket, and it stays up for a month. So your next tournament, you're reselling the same advertising space. They will pay for themselves.
Go ahead. Basket, does it go on the hole?
So basket is
Pass out-
about this
Pass
high.
out the picture there for.
There you go. And it has a whole bunch of chains around it.
That's what those are, chains.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So it makes a little clink when you hit it. So whenever you hear that, you know somebody has made a goal.
Oh, it hits the chains and falls
And
into
it
the
falls
basket.
straight
Oh,
down.
okay.
Yes.
I thought you had
Not
that.
in the basket.
It falls in the basket.
It
You have
falls
to
in the
get it
basket,
in the
and then there's
basket.
a round thing underneath like a drain catcher, and then it'll land in there.
Oh, so it sits here, and falls down.
The basket is the hole.
Yes.
It is. Yes.
Sounds like a more
Yes,
fun
ma'am.
than golf.
Well, and that's one of the things I was thinking while you were talking is that you might find that some of these people who play golf on it already might take up disc golf instead because it's probably a little bit easier to throw this than hit a little golf ball.
I wasn't going for the easier, I was going for the more fun.
The disc golf community is growing exponentially.
It is.
It's a big community.
So let's start this and see what happens. Which means that we have to approve some money, I guess.
I'm gonna be a bit of a wet blanket here, at least a damp one. Considering the fact that there's many things on the fort that we are putting off and letting go that need attention. One point it was on Richard's high priority list, renovation and upgrading the motel rooms. We've got a historic drainage ditch wall over here that's partially caved in. It has been for years. It hasn't been taken care of. It needs to be done by professionals because of the pressure of water buildup draining down through the ground. We have cart paths on the golf course that in places are almost impassable. We also, there's some questions about just how solid and good our financial condition is. So I wouldn't necessarily say that we should scrap this idea, but I would say that we should at least wait till we talk to Randy, have that workshop with him so we're absolutely sure of what our financial condition is, and that we also give some consideration to some of these other things. I mean, if you drive your golf cart, if you play golf on the 18-hole course where you paid money to play, and you try to drive over some of the spots coming down number 9 by the tree there, going across from number 2 to number 3, I mean, it's terrible. If you don't go at an absolute crawl, it'll jar your teeth out of you. So that's my position. Thank you.
And I do understand exactly what you're saying. And taking that into consideration, sometimes when you bring more awareness to this amazing fort, you get more people who care about it, more people who are willing to donate to stuff like that. If we keep people out of the fort and we don't give them a reason to come here, then we're relying on the same things over and over to fill a budget. When if we bring more people in, well, you never know who you're bringing in. You might be bringing in a rancher over here who has millions of dollars who can contribute, who loves golf, who loves repair. We just don't know, and I feel like it's a benefit to the fort to bring as much awareness because there's so much that I'm sure a lot of people in this room don't even know about this fort. That's pretty amazing that I've learned.
I guess that's partially because, as earlier mentioned, our marketing budget is so small, we're not spending any money on that.
The point's well made that, for example, the repair of the stone wall is not going to bring us a dime, but something such as this is going to generate a revenue which may answer those financial problems. I would,
Do we want a motion so that we can either vote it down or vote it up? I think we should have that.
Let me,
Not gonna get one.
no, let me get my thoughts on where here. It's possible that we may be able to create the revenue for this, or create the funds for this through a fundraiser, possibly through the golf course, through some of the other venues during fun days, that type of thing, through personal donations. So I think it sounds like a marvelous idea, and I'd be willing to donate, some. But perhaps we can table this until we meet with Randy and then bring it up at the next meeting, and possibly even with Carol Ann's help, create some sort of a fundraiser for this, because I think that we could probably get the money fairly quickly through fundraising, because it's a marvelous idea and it's a hot thing all across the nation. So,
That's a great idea, Sandy.
thanks, Dan.
It's my understanding that the board approved a small budget for events already.
that's correct.
It was my hope that this would come out of that budget,
The reason-
money already.
The reason it's here is that it's over
1,000,
the amount.
yes.
So the question is, are you telling me that this exists already? There's money there?
There was allocated $4,000 for community events and activities. This is what
So
this
there
is.
is money
Yes,
there.
it was allocated at the revised budget, by the way.
Okay. So it's,
If that money's used, then you can make it till October, is that what you're saying? Well, then I think we're just approving for her to use her budget.
Yes.
Although, what accounting do we have, how much of that $4,000 has been used for other things? How much of it are we gonna need for other things forward?
Because she's
Well,
pretty good at keeping track.
I think approving budget doesn't necessarily mean approving the expenditure.
That's correct, which is why we're bringing it to you now.
Thank you.
I haven't used anything of the $4,000.
And have you brought in some money?
Family Fun Days, the first one made $319, the second one made $167, and the weather was miserable.
Yes, you did.
July 4th, my only expense is going to be the bouncy castles, and we charge to use them, and they pay for themselves plus. So that is an expense, it's an initial expense, but that money comes back. All of the vendors are being required to pay. So other than labor costs, what is going on, there is no cost for that either, and I haven't, the only thing I had planned on putting in a request for is we're having a banner made for the parade that will match what says on both sides, on either side of town, Bracketville, Kenny County, Texas, home of historic Fort Clark. It will be a banner that we can reuse for the Christmas parade or other events, and it's about $100. I don't have any other outstanding
I'm wondering if
expenses.
we can't have one, a banner that says Fort Clark and then historic Bracketville or something. I think we should reverse those.
Well, the point that I'd like to make here is that we anticipated that Carol Ann was going to be doing many things to generate and improve the activities, the fun times on the fort, and to bring people to the fort. That's her job. And so I mentioned at the time when I presented the budget, was that she has been operating without a budget. I asked for $4,000 to be allocated to that, to the events and activities of the community. And she has then recommended that up to $2,000 be allocated for that purpose. And she has, although she has asked for that allocation, she has committed to raising the funds for any amount over that. So
If nobody will make a motion, I will. And here's what I would say, that we approve the expenditure of $2,000, that the $2,000 be from the recreation budget, or whatever the name of it is, with as much donation as you can possibly get. I don't know a good way to say that.
People are starting to run away from me, because if I don't want you to volunteer, I want your money.
What about the installation?
That includes the installation costs. The maintenance department would be able to install them.
All of
Joe
these
would
various,
agree to
event-
volunteer to help install.
all
it.
these various events that you're talking about that you're doing with basically no money, that does include labor from the fort being furnished, the staff people and the rest of it that we're not considering their cost, are we?
My staff is me. The community council has been instrumental in volunteering their time. I'm salaried.
You know, we could do nothing at all, and nothing will happen. So,
And I just made a motion, do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Okay, we can vote it down, but I've made a motion. Any more discussion?
As long, this is coming from the budget, I have no problem with that. I would almost guess that should we sponsor 2 tournaments, within those 2 tournaments, we will raise enough to buy any extra discs or anything else that are needed toward disc golf, or to contribute toward the recreation fund, even replace this money. Golf tournaments on the 18-hole course we've raised anywhere from big tournament $4,000 to $5,000 to small tournaments $700 to $800 to $900, and I think this is going to be a big thing in this area if we assist it. So I don't have any problems with this, because I think we can, on a donation and a fundraising basis, make up any additional funds we need.
It will pay it back and then some. It will generate revenue and people coming in.
Well, and you don't have any more expenditures either.
No, you
I mean,
don't.
it's already being mowed all the time. I mean,
They come with a 20-year warranty. 20 year. The
I
baskets
can't wait to see it.
the baskets we're looking at are at the regulation competition level.
This would be easier for someone who had a bad hip, for instance, wouldn't it? I'm thinking from the old person's point of
Yes.
view.
it'd be better for you than golf would, because in golf you're rotating your hips, and here
Anything would be better than that,
just
You're
using
doing
your arm.
shoulder and your upper arm.
I guarantee.
Unless you want to learn how to throw a really long distance, and then you might need a little hip action in there.
I don't have a bad hip. I'm thinking of people who are out there trying to play golf with bad hips, and maybe this would be easy. Really would, I think. They do it with their dogs. They might as well do it with Fabia. Okay. Any more comments? I can't comment because it's my motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't hear any more. What? You want to go ahead? No? I'm about to. If there are no more comments, all in favor? Opposed? Did I see 3, 4, and 1 against?
Yes.
Then the motion passes. We'll see if this has been a bad idea, and we'll let Dan say, I told you so.
It's gonna be good.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea.
No,
I
I'm-
just think the way it's
Yeah, I'm-
handled is a bad.
Okay. At any point that you feel like you can say, I told you so, you get to.
I'm good at that.
I know, and so I'm not gonna worry about it. Okay, under old or unfinished business, Sandy, would you give us just a recap on the renters workshop?
I will read from my notes, because I didn't know you wanted me to do a summary to this morning, so have
That
that.
shows you a long history.
Okay. On the 12th, we had a renters workshop. We didn't have too many people show up. We had 2 people that actually work for our own realty companies, and we had a couple, 3 people that are involved with rentals on their own, for their own property. Basically, what we were trying to do on the 12th was to get some feedback from the people who are actually involved with renting or managing rentals, to see how they feel about our current rules and regulations. Do you want me to read those brief rules and regulations?
Not really,
Okay.
we're going to have another workshop, at least one more, possibly more. And I just wanted people to know what we had come to. We accomplished nothing, but we did, you want to,
We got some input from them.
Right.
yeah, did you want to read those? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
I'm just
saying?
gonna reflect back on my notes. We talked about a lot of things. We talked about the existing rules and regs, which really aren't too far off from what most people were interested in. They need some refinement. Mostly, the problem seems to be with enforcement of the rules with the various people who have renters. And the people that showed up for the workshop really aren't the people that, let me see, how do I say this nicely? Those aren't the people that cause the problems most of the time. They're doing most of the things by the rules. But those other folks didn't show up, so we're gonna try and get them next time.
They also had some ideas.
Yes.
That we couldn't follow.
Right. We talked about enforcement at the gate with using different colored stickers for stopping people at the gate to talk to them if they don't have the proper stickers, making sure that Matt's people are following through. We had a suggestion that short-term rentals of 4 days or less be treated the same as motel guests. We talked about landlords' responsibility to advise Fort Clark Springs if they have a renter coming and if they have a renter leaving. We talked about the registration form that all renters are supposed to complete and all landlords are to ensure are submitted to FCSA. We talked about making sure that the lease and registration match the rule, which is currently, leases have to be resubmitted every 6 months, which everybody agreed was too short of a time, that a year would be better, and that's actually involves a rule change. We also talked about using a guest card, making a guest card available for short-term renters. We talked about a fee to transfer membership from the owner to the renter, because right now you cannot transfer your membership privileges to your renter. That has been that way forever. And that was a point of contention that we're going to have to discuss.
Okay, I don't want to get anybody in the audience involved.
No,
so
this is just reporting what we talked about.
Let's move on then.
Yes, security training on any new changes, and we talked about owner-landlord maintenance of property, mowing, taking care of bushes, making sure there's no junk in the yards. These are just some of the items that came up. We're not going to talk about it here, but we are going to have another workshop to refine some of these ideas and hopefully get more people that actually are renting properties to attend so we can get more feedback.
And change the rules where we need to.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, is there anything in the bylaws about renters at all? And I wonder if there should be.
It's under rules and regulations.
Yeah, I understand it is, but I wonder if there should be anything.
No.
I'm thinking out loud. I'll worry about it. Okay, let's move on to update on the inactive member status.
I have just a brief comment. A longtime member of the association brought something to my attention the other day. It was very interesting when she pointed out that some years back, she believes, when all this started with the inactive members, there was a ruling by the state of Texas that said if we had attempted to contact the member 3 times and it came back undeliverable or they were uncontactable 3 times, that we could then consider them like an abandoned member, and that we no longer had the obligations of notices and mailings and the rest of it to them, which I thought was wonderful, could solve part of our problem. And I don't know if there's any way to check on what that ruling, if it ever really did exist, or if it's still on record anywhere. But possibly it could be. But in the meantime, either way, I would suggest that we consider renaming that list of inactive members to abandoned members, because that's what they really are. They're just abandoned. And I think that would help us a little when we have people that are put out that because we didn't bill these people. Oh, okay, thank you. That's all I have. That's the only update I have to give you.
We might have to look in Roger.
Well, just one more thing. I have worked on a number of the lists, checking them out, and there are a percentage, not a real great high percentage, but a certain percentage of them that do not own any property on here. They were simply evidently charter members that never opted to own property, but they're not on record of owning any real estate here.
We put all of the discussion of clubs and committees under the new business because it's not something we had discussed before. And really, Dan, this is something, these are all things that you had brought forward. And I'm not sure how we got them all under one.
Well,
It doesn't look good. But let's just go down the list. You want to move something to
I
next
can
meeting?
make comments on my portion very quickly.
All right.
Is I've had various members from time to time point out to me that the gun club pays the taxes on the gun range over there, and that the members are paying taxes on other things like the airfield and whatever. The fact is that I was furnished a copy of that lease with the gun club, and in fact they do pay the taxes. There's also, they don't pay any rent, so that isn't an all bad deal for them, where some other people do. The airfield, I believe they do not pay the taxes, nor I don't believe they pay the insurance, and we're paying an insurance fee of $1,825 a year. Yes, because they have to belong to the NRA in order to get insurance, I'm told, and they as through their gun club takes off that insurance. But we're paying $1,825 a year for insurance on the airfield, airport, whatever. And I guess there's been objections to some of the signage that's recently put up over there, saying it's a restricted area, no entry or something. I don't know much about that. That's the only other thing I have is on the issue of committees going into executive session. It's, when you research the law, it really doesn't address it, but it does specifically reserve the right to a board.
If we're going to talk about this as a board, we need to be listening, please. I understand. I understand. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the law does specifically reserve the right to adjourn into executive session for the board of directors. It does not anywhere give that right to committees. And I personally do not think it's a good idea to all of a sudden having our committees adjourn into executive sessions. I think what the work they do has to be open and available to any member that has interest in it.
What if a member is being discussed? Should that be open?
Yes, well, it depends on the situation. Everyone is entitled to their privacy, and I'm as big an advocate of anybody for privacy for members. However, once, this is my opinion, once somebody violates our rules and regulations or our declarations, it's no longer their private business. It then becomes a business of all the members because it can affect all the members, and the membership should have a right to know when the rules and regulations are being violated and what's being done about it. That's my position.
This is primarily the architectural committee that we're talking about?
That's where the problem has come from, because they've got into the habit now of adjourning into executive session.
Okay, let's find out why they do it first.
Well,
let's find out. There's somebody here that can tell us, I think.
Yes, let's do
Monique, did you have a reason? Did you know the reason?
We've got a member.
I will ask that member, but right now I thought Monique had something to say about it. I apologize. Did I put you on the spot?
That's okay. In the 209, it does talk about how we are not allowed to post when members are in violation of any of our rules and regulations, CCNR violations, things like that.
This is in 209.
Uh-huh. That's part of the reason why we can't post when people are delinquent on their assessments, things like that. So it was recommended that when they discuss it in the architectural committee, that it not be out in the public.
I've missed that part. This is the second time we've come to this point. I would really appreciate if you could reference what part of 209 states that. And of course, delinquent assessments are something completely different than when we have people encroaching and violating their architectural rules.
There has been the occasion when the architectural committee received the violation report and did determine that the person was not in violation. So in a sense, if a person, if it is somehow announced or implied that the person is in violation and then turns out not to be, we may have a difficulty.
Well, if they're exonerated, that would be wonderful. I don't think anybody would have a problem. I would also suggest...
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't want you discussing my business if I am not, if you're going to announce that I'm in.
Well, if you encroach on my common ground, then that's my business too.
I'm talking about other violations as well.
I haven't done that.
If the architectural committee feels so strongly that something has to be handled in executive session because they have no legal authorization that I can find anywhere to go into executive session, then I would suggest that they just simply refer the matter to the board and the board can handle it in executive session.
It may not say that they can, but it doesn't say that they cannot.
That's true. And isn't it possible to discuss member issues without using names anyway?
Sure.
I mean, they have you guys have the information in front of you, either using the application numbers or unit without lot numbers and so forth to discuss it without divulging who these people are. But I agree, I think 209 gives us some problems, and Richard, your comment is not something I thought of, but unfortunately, if information gets out that somebody's violating and they really aren't, the only information that stays out there is the bad information because that's what most people like to pass around, not the good stuff. So once you have it out.
That'll be on the front page. And
yes, and no one ever.
Exonerations.
We all know the rumor mills around in here. And once bad info gets out there, even if it's corrected, that somehow doesn't get out there. So I think we're on really thin ground if we accuse somebody of violating and then we don't, and then they're
I
not.
don't think that we're in the business of shaming them,
No.
but rather getting things corrected.
No lunch shaming here on the front.
No, I don't, but I also think we're not in the business of having committees going behind closed doors for their meetings. And the fact that 209 does not say they can't, then what would be the reasoning that 209 says the board can? It specifically grants that privilege to the board, but it doesn't grant it to anyone else. If you could just if you have that right to go into closed door meetings without 209 telling you you have the right, then there would have been no need for them to give that right to board of directors.
I understand. I'd like to have someone do some more study on this and check other laws.
Well, can't they operate under the similar situations that a grand jury does? And that is they meet in private,
I don't think-
discuss the problem, and
I don't
then
think
it
you
comes
can
public.
qualify this as a.
No, I didn't mean that as a grand
But
jury, I'm just
I do
saying.
think that, for instance, we could go to the county attorney and see what might be available there, but first and foremost, let's do some more, research is the word I was looking for, research on this, before they go into executive session the next time, let's do that, okay? Let's do some more research.
And
That
they
is
could
okay
go,
with
you know, member A, member B. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've asked before for the reference to the law that says that you cannot discuss a violation of the regulations or your rules and regulations or declaration. Not talking about delinquent assessments, that's something different. But
Right.
where does law say that you cannot, that has to be kept behind closed doors?
Well, let's first
all.
talk, right.
That
let's
would take
first-
care of me.
Let's do some research on that before there's another executive session. Okay?
Are we headed to executive session?
We're gonna have one. I wanted to say something about the airfield. I do not want to give, the board to give up any kind of ownership of that. Therefore, I don't want the signage, for instance, to be done without our involvement. And I have made that clear to the president of the club that they are a committee under the board, okay? And on gun club, that is a different thing altogether, I think. I don't want anybody shooting at me, but probably I can get by otherwise. I think I've even had people calling me, telling they're going to. Okay. Anything else on our discussion here? Thank you, Dan, though, for bringing that up. We now have a 15-minute member discussion period, and the only person I have is Mary Frances. Everybody crossed off after we went.
I have a couple, can I just sit here and yell? I had a couple of questions about the fines when they're, when, you know, like the architecture committee does that. If the fine is $25, there's really no reason to worry about it. If the fine is $250, then I might worry about it. The other thing is, I just have a question. The Axis Harvest, or is this a hunt or is this a trap?
It's corralling.
Corralling, and then what?
Remove it.
I remove it, okay. And the other thing is that I had friends come a couple of weeks ago, and they said, I said, oh, let's meet at Creekside for lunch, and they said, oh, no, we can't, they're closed on Monday. I said, they're not closed on Monday. Well, the website, they said, says that the restaurant's closed on Monday and Tuesday, I think. Anyway, and I went, and I couldn't figure it out, but anyway, I wish that somebody would check on that, because they were just positive that it said that, so.
That sounds like the old stuff's still on there.
Well, they said
Well, check it.
They said it was still on the website. And, but anyway, we did go to lunch on Monday because I said, oh, no, but anyway, I wish you all would check on that. That's it, that's all I have.
Okay. I still have a minute or two if anybody else has something you want to throw in here. Don't say I didn't give you fair warning. It's 11:35 and we're going into executive session.
Hello. How are you? I'm good.
Are we turning Jan on too? Or is it still on?
It's still on.
Okay.
You have an hour.
There's gonna be a big gap.
Missing tapes.
During the executive session, the board discussed, whoops.
What time is it?
1:18.
It's 1:18 and I'm calling the meeting back to order. Sorry about that. During the executive session, we discussed member issues, and those issues did not get solved. So we will not discuss those. We did agree to extend the contract, Bernard McGraw's contract, for another 3 months, is it?
Yes, to October.
To October 1st, 2017. We also encourage Mr. McGraw to pursue the TABC license for the Creekside Restaurant. We are not ready to go to the Dickman Hall process at this point. We discussed the stable and the stable contract. The stable contract is currently expired and no longer valid. We want to renegotiate the contract. Until then, the use of stables, the stables, is open to all members. The third thing, we discussed a serious SIRIUS contract for the swimming pool, and that would be $30 for 6 months. It may be extended from there, but at this point, that's all we've approved for a contract. Now that I can really breathe, is there anything else I should bring up?
Is it next meeting?
I'm not ready to quit. I'm on a
Wasn't the
roll.
serious contract going to extend beyond the 6 months?
I said that we've only approved it for 6 months.
Was that
After
all?
that, we'll talk.
Okay,
I'd like it to go further, but, I mean,
We'll go.
I
no,
would
that's
ask you
fine.
to, for $15 a month thereafter.
When you have something to be signed,
Yes,
we can do it by email if you'd like.
very good.
Okay.
You might explain what Sirius is. It's,
I spelled it differently.
yeah, it's
You're
a
not,
Sirius.
y'all are not listening to me.
It's Sirius Radio.
It's a radio subscription.
Yes, Sirius Radio subscription.
SIRIUS.
Pay for play.
No wonder we have such long executive sessions. All right. The next regular meeting of the board is July, I can't say the word, July? It's too tough. July, do you have it?
15
I stuck it in my, oh, you got it. July 15th?
at 9 a.m.
That seems entirely too early. July 15th at 9 a.m. Anything else to come before the board? Did we need to actually do any voting on any of this? I didn't think we did.
What about the Chef Bernard extension? We
Okay,
need to
I-
vote
I-
on that?
I think so.
Listen to me, I did say that. Do we need to vote now on the 3 months?
I know you said it, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Do we
do
need to
you-
vote on it?
In that case, do you want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we approve the extension of Chef Bernard's management agreement on the Creekside Restaurant to October 1st.
Making it a 6 month. Making it a 6 month.
It's okay.
Just
I'll second the motion.
Any more discussion? Any more discussion? All right. All in favor? And there's no opposed. Sorry about that. And that also included the encouragement for Mr. McGraw to pursue his own TABC license.
Yes.
Okay? And I think everybody else got involved and we got it all done. Once again, July 15th is our next regular meeting, July 15th at 9 a.m. If there is nothing else, we'll close the meeting at what time?
1:23.
At 1:23.
By my pulsar given to me for retirement watch from Rio Grande Electric.
I got this watch, cold water treatment, which I never.
I said, oh, what shall we, this version,
They really did give watches for
Why
retirement.
don't we give it to
7/28, 1980.
all rental agreement and renters
Here, I thought I would-
remain office, charge 10%
No,
of
it wasn't
gross and
1980.
comply with
How come they have
Texas laws, contract, real estate, maybe to manage the process. Here, you guys.
I think that was dropped off when we had the workshop, because I saw somebody come over and put something here.
Oh,
Arenas.
that's what it is.
Let's take it. Who would take it? Nobody wants to be in charge of this dang
I
rental.
don't know if the landlords will be happy giving us 10% of their gross rent.
No, I don't either.
You know, it means nothing to us unless it's signed.
Well, I kind of like it actually.
Well, I mean, I know, but it's not signed, we don't know.
Who are we keeping it? Who's going to keep it?
It's an idea, something to ponder.
Yeah, you'd almost have to set up a rental, job responsibility for something like that. Combine it with the motel. You too.